It's about to get a little cooler. What's going on, guys? I'm certified meteorologist Jonathan Kagas. In this video, we're going to talk about it getting less hot in Central Florida. The extreme heat, the intense heat that has gripped a lot of the Florida Peninsula over the last week or so. It's going to be backing off a little bit, the weather system responsible for that. We're going to take a look at when that happens. And as a result of that as well, the two have kind of gone hand in hand here, of course. So we'll break that down for you again. But storm chances are also going to increase. My lawn is shot. If you have not watered, your lawn is probably brown and crunchy, but we do have some relief for that as well. Then we're going to end the video with the Tropics outlook here. The Hurricane Center highlighting two waves. It is starting to look a little bit like August out there as we venture through the peak of hurricane season. We're going to take a look at those two waves and talk about where those could be headed and if they have the shot to develop. Before we get into the video, if you do want to stay updated on all things Florida weather, of course, as we go through hurricane season, you have to hit subscribe. Please do that. And if you happen to find this content helpful, please hit that thumbs up button. It really does help us out a lot. All right, so you can clearly see here the change is not coming on Tuesday. We're still talking about the heat index on Tuesday back in that 110-ish ballpark. Wednesday, it kind of gets a little better for some of us, but still on a widespread scale, we're talking about that heat index closer to 110. Watch what happens. And this is going to be because we get an earlier start time to those thunderstorms. Look at that heat index. Now, it gets a little bit hotter. I think everybody crosses the century mark in terms of how it feels outside. And then we get those storms to fire up. And you see what it does here by the afternoon. A lot of us are going to see those cooling thunderstorms. So the theme this week is going to be not as hot. It's still your typical Florida August heat. We're not talking about a cold front getting that nice window opening feel or anything like that. But the system responsible for all of this heat is going to back off and allow us to be kind of back to where we should be for this time of the month and for this part of the planet anyway. All right, big chunk of high pressure was sitting overhead. Here we go, Monday evening. We have that double barrel high, if you will, that's been hanging out over the southwest Atlantic, and then the other one over the North Gulf Coast. It's been mainly because of this one. Typically, we would see this guy hang out closer to the desert southwest. That induces their monsoon season, and that also bakes them for a lot of the summer. It's been trying to vacation closer to Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, and of course, the Gulf Coast of Florida. That has been providing us all that sinking air, which dries things out, hence no rain, or limited rain anyway, and then warms things up. Hence the blowtorch that we've been dealing with for the last week. Again, very abnormally, and in a lot of cases, record warm across Florida. There we go on Tuesday. Look at this. It's breaking. That high pressure is going that way. This one is going back to the desert. Watch what happens further as we get towards Thursday. That's more like it. Our Bermuda high is closer to where it should be, right over there, and then our big high pressure system that hangs out over the desert southwest is back over the desert southwest. So again, while it is still going to be hot, it's August, it's Florida. We know we don't get relief until maybe late September, likely more October. It's going to be less hot. You catch my drift. Not refreshing, but less hot. Might feel refreshing. Heck, it's been terrible the last 7 days. All right, so here we go. 4 o'clock on Monday. Here's a close look at where we could see some storms in Central Florida. Then I'm going to expand this out and show you the entire Florida Peninsula. So we have increasing storm chances, especially along I-95 first and foremost. Still hit or miss inland. That's Monday at 6 o'clock again tonight with a few scattered storms around the villages and then also around Marion County. I know everybody needs the rain, especially though the Gulf Coast, especially towards I-75. Here's a look at Tuesday morning. We have some clouds start to push through. There's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. How about that? That's what we like to see. Rock and thunderstorms erupting through the afternoon, and that is finally a lot of Central Florida included. Not everybody, of course, could see these storms, but that is an increasing amount of people now. This is no doubt the highest rain chance we have seen in about 10 days, really since we started our big-time hot stretch where we've been flirting with the 100 degrees and been feeling like 115 degrees. So that is 7, 8 o'clock on Tuesday, and then that is 11 o'clock into the evening as we are still dealing with some of those showers and thunderstorms. I want to kind of expand this out just a little bit to show you the entire Florida view. Same kind of deal, though. We have storms kind of hit or miss out there. Still the rain chance is low. We are still under the influence of that big chunk of high pressure. But then as we get into Tuesday, things really start to get a little better. see inland again with those scattered storms, and then really focusing on central Florida. That's where we are really going to see that best opportunity for some rain right in interior central Florida there, where we could desperately use it. All right, if you're finding this content helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to stay updated, again, hit that subscribe button for me. That would be awesome as we kind of track the weather together here through Florida and, of course, the tropics when warranted of the peak of hurricane season. And here we go, Hurricane Center highlighting 2 waves of low pressure, 2 tropical waves. One of them is hanging out right here with the potential development zone out in this area. The other one is just getting ready to emerge. It likely will come off of Africa by the time we get into Wednesday-ish, give or take. And then the highlighted development zone is right in here around the Cabo Verde Islands and then towards the central Atlantic. I think this one has the better shot to develop, but this one's also likely going to go in that direction. So that it can do whatever it wants out there once it gets beyond people through the Cabo Verde Islands. But there's still a lot of dry, dusty air. The secondary one, I still think it's going to have some problems. While it's starting to look a little bit more like August, I don't know if the basin really knows that it's August. There's still a lot of sinking air out there that is brought on by El Nino. And there's a lot of dry air. There's still a lot of Saharan air out there that's kind of lasting late into the season. But here is our actual wave right in there. There's kind of strung out a little bit, like that string bean we always talk about. When it's like that, it's hard initially for these things to kind of consolidate and to become its own entity. This is along the intertropical convergence zone where we kind of fire up thunderstorms as they roll off of Africa as well. The winds come together here at the convergence that lift up thunderstorms. Note, though, there's really nothing sustained. We're not really sustaining that convection. That has thankfully been the problem for the last couple of weeks. Any storm that tried to get going, and there were some very high percentage chances given by the Hurricane Center, and they petered out. And that was because of that dry air. That was because of the sinking air. Again, just like what we found out again through Florida, when air sinks, it dries out. It's very warm. The systems do not like that stuff, and that's good for us. So again, we're still under the influence of that, although as we get into that 3rd, 4th week of August, again, that's where we really can see things turn, and that's what we're really going to be watching. I want to show you one model forecast quickly, and if you do want a full tropical update, I talked for like 20 minutes on several things we're watching in the tropics. I'm going to post that link in the description for you. Also put a little card that'll pop up there, and you can click on that. But nonetheless, this is the Euro spin. We're looking for like a consolidated ball here of red, something similar to that, but that's really nothing at that point. Watch what happens. This is the European rendition. The GFS is far less aggressive, I might add, and I go over those model solutions in that video. But there's the trailing wave that's over Africa. There's the first one now. And then there's also this little thing that's not on the Hurricane Center map just yet because it hasn't really developed, but a little tropical wave that could move out of the Bahamas through South Florida and then tried to develop as it got into the Gulf of Mexico, which, as we all know, is jet fuel right now. It's so hot. It's record hot. And that is something that we would have to watch if, in fact, that tropical wave gets born over the Turks and Caicos or Bahamas mid to late next week. We're going to watch that. And, of course, we're going to keep you updated on that on this channel. All you have to do is hit subscribe. And again, if you found this content helpful, hit that thumbs up button. If you have any questions, have any comments, concerns, post that in the comments below. I love to read it. Any feedback you have, and again, any questions on the tropics or anything Florida weather related, post that in the comments, and I will do my best to get back to you. And again, if you want to stay updated on all things weather, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button as well. I'd appreciate that, and we will catch you next time.